Imagine this. A single plant, like a tiny blade of grass or a lone wildflower, can support hundreds of different species. This simple green life form serves as a base, feeding insects, sheltering small animals, and even providing for larger predators down the line. Food chains are much more than just simple links. Each one is a complex web, tying together creatures big and small, all relying on each other to survive. Many people think food chains are straightforward, but they're actually an intricate balance where every plant, insect, and animal has a role. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of food chains, revealing how these connections work, why they matter, and sharing some surprising examples that'll change the way you think about nature. The bell rang, and the class was buzzing with excitement. Today was no ordinary science lesson. It was Food Chain Fun Day. Mrs. Rivera, their bubbly and enthusiastic teacher, stood at the front of the classroom, smiling from ear to ear. All right, class. Today we're going to explore food chains. You're going to be scientists, researchers, and artists, all in one. We'll learn about producers, consumers, herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. And guess what? You'll create your own food chain models. Ready? The students cheered. Their desks were covered with colorful markers, construction paper, glue sticks, and books with pictures of animals and plants. Mrs. Rivera handed out the assignment sheet. Okay, first things first. What's a food chain? Can anyone tell me? She asked, looking around. Miguel shot his hand up. It's like a line of who eats who. Exactly, Mrs. Rivera said, clapping her hands. Great answer, Miguel. The food chain shows how energy moves through living things, starting with the plants and ending with big animals like lions. Every animal has a role: producer, consumer, herbivore, omnivore, or carnivore. Let's break them down, step by step. Who can guess what a producer is? A few hands went up. Emma, the class artist, smiled as she answered. A producer makes its own food, like plants do. Absolutely right, Emma. Mrs. Rivera nodded. Plants are producers because they use sunlight to make food through photosynthesis. Producers are the base of every food chain because they start the energy flow. Give Emma a round of applause. The class clapped, and Emma beamed as she started sketching a big tree on her paper. Now, who can tell me what a consumer is? Mrs. Rivera continued, pacing a bit. A quiet voice piped up from the back. It was Leo, the shy but super smart kid. A consumer is an animal that eats something else, like plants or other animals. Yes, Leo, spot on. Consumers can't make their own food, so they eat plants or other animals to get energy. Everyone's doing great so far. You're all food chain experts. Mrs. Rivera cheered. At this point, the class was fully engaged. The students worked in groups, eager to create their food chains. Each group had a task: research, share ideas, and draw pictures to explain what they learned. Okay, now let's dive deeper, Mrs. Rivera said, her voice filled with excitement. Consumers can be herbivores, carnivores, or omnivores. Who wants to explain what those words mean? Sasha, known for being a little sassy but always paying attention, jumped in. Herbivores eat plants, like cows or rabbits. They don't eat any meat. Excellent, Sasha, Mrs. Rivera praised. Herbivores only eat producers, and they play a key role in the food chain by eating plants. Can someone give me an example of an herbivore? Liam, the class clown, raised his hand with a smirk. A giraffe! I wish I could eat leaves off tall trees, too. The class erupted into laughter. Very funny, Liam. And you're right. Giraffes are herbivores. Keep up that energy, everyone, and keep drawing your food chain diagrams. They're looking fantastic, Mrs. Rivera said. Next, Mrs. Rivera turned her attention to carnivores. All right, we talked about plant eaters. Now, what about carnivores? What do they eat? Meat, a chorus of voices answered. That's right. Carnivores eat other animals. Can someone name a carnivore? Tanya, who loved big cats, was quick to answer. A lion! They're at the top of the food chain. Exactly, Tanya. Lions are powerful carnivores. In the wild, they hunt herbivores like zebras and antelopes. Great job, Mrs. Rivera said, giving her a thumbs up. So carnivores are important because they keep herbivore populations in check. Meanwhile, group tables were alive with creativity. Emma and her friends drew detailed pictures of trees, bunnies, and lions, while Liam's group sketched out fish and sharks for a food chain in the ocean. I love how you're all working so hard and being so creative. Now let's talk about the last type of consumer, omnivores. Who can tell me what an omnivore is? Mrs. Rivera asked. Jada, who loved nature documentaries, raised her hand. Omnivores eat both plants and animals, like bears and humans. Exactly, Jada. Omnivores have the best of both worlds. They eat plants and animals. Can anyone think of another example of an omnivore? Chickens! Miguel shouted out, waving his hand. Yes, chickens are omnivores because they peck at grains, but also eat bugs. Wonderful, Miguel. You're all doing such a fabulous job. Mrs. Rivera clapped. Okay, everyone. Let's review. Producers are plants that make their own food. Consumers can be herbivores that eat plants, carnivores that eat meat, or omnivores that eat both. Leo's group was working on a food chain that started with grass as the producer. Next in line was a rabbit, the herbivore, followed by a fox, the carnivore. Mrs. Rivera walked around, giving feedback. Leo, your group's food chain looks fantastic. I love how you showed the flow of energy from grass to rabbit to fox. Great teamwork, everyone. As the groups continued working, Mrs. Rivera said, Now here's something cool. Every food chain ends with a top predator, but do you know what happens to the energy once the animal dies? The students looked puzzled. Mrs. Rivera smiled. That's where decomposers come in. Decomposers, like fungi and bacteria, break down dead plants and animals, returning nutrients to the soil so new plants can grow. So, really, a food chain is like a big circle. Emma added a mushroom to her food chain drawing. So, the mushroom is like a cleanup crew for the forest? Exactly! You're all so smart. I'm so proud of how hard you're working, Mrs. Rivera exclaimed, giving the class 2 thumbs up. After another 15 minutes of research and drawing, it was time for the groups to present their food chains. Okay, let's start with Group 1, Mrs. Rivera said. Emma's group went first. They had drawn a beautiful forest food chain. Emma explained. Our food chain starts with a tree as the producer. Then a rabbit eats the leaves. Next, a fox eats the rabbit, and finally, mushrooms break everything down when the fox dies. The class clapped, and Mrs. Rivera smiled proudly. That's an excellent explanation. You all worked so well together. Each group took turns presenting their creative food chains, and Mrs. Rivera made sure to give every group positive feedback. Liam's group had a food chain based in the ocean, starting with algae, then moving to fish, seals, and ending with a great white shark. Great job, Liam! Your ocean food chain is so detailed, and I love the creativity with the shark, Mrs. Rivera said, giving him a high five. When all the groups had presented, Mrs. Rivera wrapped up the lesson. You all did an amazing job today. Remember, food chains show how energy moves from plants to animals and back into the earth. You are all food chain experts now. Give yourselves a big round of applause. The students clapped and cheered, proud of their hard work. As the bell rang and the students started packing up, Mrs. Rivera smiled and said, "Great job today, scientists. You all showed creativity, teamwork, and a whole lot of brain power. I'm so proud of you all. See you tomorrow for more adventures in science." The classroom buzzed with excitement as the students left, still chatting about herbivores, carnivores, and their favorite food chains. And so, Food Chain Fun Day ended with happy faces, colorful drawings, and a new understanding of how energy flows through the living world.